Okay, we are back. I'm very happy to have on the Goldstein on Gelt show Jenny Dawson, who formerly worked at O'Day Asset Management, a major hedge fund, and then in 2011 she left the hedge fund industry to set up a food brand called Rubies in the Rubble. Jenny, what are these rubies?
The rubies, I suppose, came from wanting to make a product, a first-class product, out of things that were otherwise discarded in our society, but had perfectly good value. So at the moment, we make a range of chutneys from what would be discarded fruit and vegetables, normally due to gluts in the season or aesthetic looks, but they've become our rubies. It might be a wonky carrot or an odd-shaped pear, and then we put them into processing and make new products from them.
Okay, so the interesting thing about this is that it seems that you are looking for things that are downtrodden, that aren't worth so much, and that you hope to either to make them worth something more in the future, which sounds a lot like what you were doing as a hedge fund manager.
Yeah, you could say there was a bit of a link to it. I think it's. The whole idea for the brand came from realizing how much we discard because of its appearance, and that there's beauty in things that we're not fully using. And a lot of the fruit and vegetables was because we almost have so much in our society that we could afford to be that wasteful, but also that if something was odd shaped or looked a bit strange from the outside but still tasted amazing inside and had all the same great values, that we wanted to sort of bring life to that.
So presumably also then you can actually purchase these fruits and vegetables at much below the market price for, I guess, pretty vegetables and fruits.
Oh, yeah. So we work with predominantly farmers that will supply to supermarket chains or to suppliers that have got quite high spec for things. And we will purchase from them. They may be being discarded because they don't have, say, a 14-day life there so they can sit on a shelf, so they might be a little bit soft, or that they're out of size, either too small or too large, or that there's just they've had an amazing crop, an amazing season, and there's not the demand for apples. Just because they have a great season doesn't mean that everybody starts eating more apples. So that's the sort of main reason that we will get them. And now in the UK, people are charging producers and manufacturers to throw away food as well. So it, in a way, can save the money as well. But I suppose our big costs come on the fact that they are often odd shapes and odd sizing, and so a lot of the processing has to be done by hand.
Well, I'm glad you brought up apples, because we were recently having a discussion about how the average life of an apple that you buy in the store, I don't know if this is the same in England, but in the US, is 14 months old, and presumably they're somehow magically preserved. That doesn't happen with a lot of the fruits and vegetables you're looking at?
They do have large storage units, which sort of basically big chillers, to try and keep the season of apples so that we can have British apples the whole year round. But even then, there will be still a lot of surplus up and down the supply chain. So it might not be at the farmer level. It might be in the pack houses or when you get close to the supermarkets themselves.
Got it. So tell us about your transition from money management to making food. How did you get the company started?
Well, I was 25 when we started Rubies in the Rubble, and I did a master's in mathematics and had been working in the hedge fund for just over 2 years, and I almost went into working in a hedge fund with little thought. It was more to use my degree and also to pay back some of my student debt, but I'd never really had a passion for finance. I loved the job that I was in. The people were really inspiring. The money was good, but at the end of the day, I wasn't reading about finance, and it wasn't something that I was particularly excited about. And I wanted a job that actually excited me day to day, and I was passionate about the end cause. And I randomly just started researching food waste, and mainly to begin with looking at the scale of it economically and environmentally, and realizing how big an issue it was in the UK. In 2010, it was around £22 billion spent on dealing with food waste, and it was counting for what they estimated 10% of our greenhouse gases, for mainly rotting food, and also the transportation of it. So I, from that, sort of realised the scale of it, but also it was almost the childhood thought of there's 1 billion people going to bed hungry every night, and we're wasting a third of what we produce globally, and at the same time, still constantly trying to make more and grow more and have more crops, and really there's so much slack in the supply chain where we could be preventing waste, and actually it's a lot of what is wasted is the same that you see on the shelves. So it was, I think, because I was so young as well, and I was eager to do something that I was passionate about, I had this sort of feeling that there wasn't really much risk to it, and I should just start and if try it for 2 years, and if it fails, I'll have a lot of experience, and I can easily jump back into another paid position with probably more knowledge and more worldly knowledge of how markets work and how hard it is to start a business. And if it succeeded, to keep on going with it.
Good for you. That is certainly the entrepreneurial spirit that a lot of people should have. We're talking with Jenny Dawson, who left the world of money management to go into the world of sustainable and good food in a company she started called Rubies in the Rubble. Let's talk a little bit more about that move. When you started a new company, did you find as an entrepreneur that a lot of the skills that you had in the money management world applied, or was it a completely new concept?
I think it was a new concept, really. Being part of a big organization, you can almost belittle or sort of look down on smaller companies in a way, or not realize how much knowledge and hardship and doing things when at a small scale is when you haven't got a team to back you up, and you're pretty much doing everything. And there were so many things, that the practical things that I had to learn of, how to make a basic website, and how to manage people, and how to make a product that's the right price and getting it to market. I think getting something to market and actually selling it and getting it into the consumer's home was a big challenge. You can make the best product in the world, but it's still hard to get on that shelf and to get it. It's so competitive, I suppose, to change people's habits. So there was a lot of new learning.
Do clients or people who buy your product, do they feel like they're buying second quality, lower quality goods?
No, I don't think so. We were very purposely, mainly because of what we were trying to achieve as a brand and what we felt that Rubies and the Rubble stood for, that everything that we did, we wanted to be about making sure it was first class tasting and looked first class as well, and so that it could compete on a shelf alongside anything else. Without anybody knowing the backstory, and also because we were quite small as well, and because of the nature of having to use surplus fruit and veg, which often means that there's a lot of processing by hand, and it's from fresh fruit rather than a tin. There was able to make our chutneys, and we got on well, and I wanted to give them an opportunity, and the belief that when people have got work, it gives them a sense of pride and meaning to their life, and they've got something to be involved in. There was real friendship brought through that. So we had, up until about a month ago, a great team of women that worked in our kitchen. But as we've scaled up, we've sort of had this question of whether we invest heavily into new manufacturing and increase our production scale, or the alternative is working with another British manufacturer and using their facilities. So recently we've just outsourced down to another manufacturer down in Somerset, which has also given us a lot of breathing space as well, and looking at how we want to grow as we're coming to, hopefully at the end of this year, starting to make profit, and wondering how we want to distribute that profit and how we want to work as a company. And I think I was quite naive, thinking from the very outset that I could tackle both the social side of working with disadvantaged and providing employment at the same time as trying to work with what would be discarded fruit and veg. And we now are sort of wanting to be a brand that's just fully focused and known for looking at food and poverty, food injustice, working with food waste, and trying to link up with charities that can better do that in other countries as well.
Okay. It's a very, very impressive and noble goal, and we certainly wish you the best. Jenny, we're just about out of time, but in the last few seconds, tell us, how can people follow your work?
Well, probably best, especially from Israel, we've got a website, rubiesintherubble.com, and Twitter, Rubies in Rubble, as well as Facebook page. And hopefully we're now working with quite a few distributors, which is getting our chutneys around to countries that we never thought that we'd be supplying to. So you never know, in a couple of years' time, we might even make it to one of your shelves.
All right. Okay, it sounds fabulous. I wish you the very best of luck. We will put links to all of those sites at the show notes at goldsteinongelt.com. Jenny Dawson, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Doug.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.